right. Okay, if we can, I'd like to go ahead and get started this evening because not only do we have all of you that are here in the room with us, we want to thank you for taking your time to join us this afternoon to learn a little bit more about our service, but we also have a number of individuals that are online listening to us through a webinar. So I will try to make sure that we can accommodate both. For those of you that are in the room, there's a sign-in sheet going around. There's 2 clipboards. As Michelle mentioned, we do have contracts if you want to get signed up and you're not already signed up for the new system. And sorry for your webinar, folks, but there's popcorn and cookies to keep you, since it is getting towards dinner time. But I want to introduce you to, they all disappeared behind the scenes, but this is Kim Stenger. She's our Civil Division Director. And this is Michelle Udonis, and you're going to hear from her. She's our Business Analyst Manager. And I'm Stacy Butterfield, your clerk and comptroller. So thank you again. And behind that door, we have the wizard. No, we actually have, oh, there you guys are. There's 2 more. There's Shelly, Taylor, and Shanna Oakley. They are our business analysts in our business analyst department. And then behind the door, we have the wizard. We have Brian Pittman and Taylor Benson with our office. So they will be keeping up with the individuals on the webinar. They'll be able to raise their hand through a chat and ask questions that we can answer as we go along today. So certainly appreciate those of you that submitted your questions ahead of time. You know, we sent it out. We said any questions ahead of time would be great so we can make sure that we handled those questions, and we've incorporated all of that information into our presentation this evening. There will be opportunities throughout the session for you to ask questions. And again, if you are joining us online, please just raise your hand with the chat function and type in your question, and we will get the answer to you. So the good news is that as of now, the new system has our Polk County court records online, available through the internet. Now, most of you are either in the room or either agencies or attorneys, and you're thinking, gee, we've had access through the internet for a while. However, we have a new system that accommodates all the users to be able to access the court records through the internet. That system is called PRO. Staff. It stands for Polk Records Online, as opposed to Public Records Online. It's Polk Records Online, and it can be accessed on most devices, and it is free. All right? So just want to set the record straight. It is free. And for the attorneys in the room and the agencies, you might be thinking, well, we had a system. What are you changing it for? Well, in March of 2014, the Florida Supreme Court ended their moratorium. They had a 10-year moratorium on electronic access to court records. We were able to have the records available for the attorneys and agencies, but the system that we had in place was not compliant with the new Supreme Court order. So we were in a position to have to make the existing attorney system compliant, and we decided while we were at it that we would just make one system, Polk Records Online, compliant with the Supreme Court order for all users. Right. So a lot of, I know some attorneys have been calling me and calling our office and going, we kind of like the system you had. Why aren't you changing it? So just wanted to be clear about why we made this change. The Supreme Court order outlined a lot of technical requirements and standards for electronic access, and it was designed to balance reasonable online viewing for the public with an individual's right to privacy. So the Supreme Court order is a very complex matrix of security that defines 11 different user roles and the information that they can access online. They refer to this as the access security matrix. I know you can't see this. This is just a visual aid. So what you can see is there's a lot of little lines. So it's a complicated matrix depending on which user role, what access you can have. The roles cover the general public, which can be an anonymous user. It covers the judges. It covers the attorneys. It covers the agencies. And it covers state agencies and other agencies involved in the court system. State attorney has a role. The public defender, they have amended it or in the process of amending it, and they have a role. So everybody is defined, has to be defined within one of these user roles to be able to access and know what to access through the internet. I will tell you that this system was pretty exciting to me because, again, as attorneys and agencies, you had access, but others did not. If they wanted to see the court records, they had to come to our office to view the records. Whereas on the official record side, all your official records of the county, those are accessible 24 hours a day, 7 days a week through the internet. But that wasn't the case. So one of my goals for this term was to make as many records as allowable accessible through the internet and make it as convenient for users to be able to have that. Again, balancing and making sure that we keep private information redacted from that online viewing. And that's very important because the Supreme Court is very specific as far as keeping that information redacted and private. So you have all of the list of 22 items in the court rule that have to be redacted, as well as anything by law, such as Social Security numbers, credit card numbers, those types of things. So I take that very seriously, and that's, of course, part of the whole process that we're going to talk about in just a few minutes about having to go through what's called a VOR process to be able to access those records. So a couple of important points, again, I want to make sure that you're aware of is the Supreme Court laid out this order. And so I didn't make the rules, all right, but I have to follow the rules as you would certainly want me to. And so we don't determine who has the access. It's based on the order. And it's my job to make sure we're very compliant with this order. So that has been in the works. We've been developing this system since 2014 when they started this whole process. They later amended this order in 2015, so it was 14-19 and then 15-18, and then they will be amending it again. We should get an amended order, I would say, in the next couple of months. The FCTC, the group that handles that for the Supreme Court, met in February and agreed to move forward an amendment that was mostly for the public defenders. So security, of course, as I mentioned to you, we've taken a lot of care to develop the steps to make sure that we can implement security measures to protect private information. And with that, I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the changes. I introduced our staff that's with us today, and again, these are the people that have been integral. I said the wizards behind the door, but the wizards really here and behind the door. I have an excellent staff, and they do a super job when tasked with a project. And the only issue they have is which one of those was priority. And I say, oh, well, this one was number one, and this one was number one, and this was number one. But no, they've done a great job, and I certainly appreciate it in the development and the implementation of the system. So if you have used the previous system, the remote access system that we had in place, there's a couple of things I want to point out, major changes that you should be aware of. First, let's talk about the date, all right? The date for the absolute changeover to the new system is Friday, April 15th, all right? That's this Friday. The attorney of record, let me talk about the things that you can access, all right? Because there's a couple of differences if you are not the attorney of record, right? But the attorney of record can access confidential information, unredacted confidential information. So any attorney who's listed on the case as the attorney of record will have access to most all records for that case, that particular case, again, including non-redacted and confidential. All right. Now, the new piece is the Supreme Court order said that the attorney of record will be removed upon the termination of a proceeding following the expiration of any applicable time for appeal, unless an appeal has been filed. And that's rule number 2.505. So at that time, when that time period passes, even if you were the attorney of record on the case, you, if you want to access it after that point, will be a registered user as opposed to the attorney of record. And we'll talk about what that means as we go through this. So the non-attorney of record, you will see non-confidential information only and redacted information. All right, so either as the time passes or if you want to look at a case where you're not the attorney of record. So the registered user means that you will have to look at it the same as, even though you're an attorney, you would be just like myself, general public, who is registered with the clerk's office. So that's the distinction. If you're not the attorney of record, is it doesn't mean you're an attorney and you still have, oh, I'm walking away from this, sorry, a certain access. You have that same access. The information that is considered confidential versus non-confidential is defined in that rule 2.420, the rule of judicial administration. There's 22 items. Included in that are social security number, bank account numbers, credit card numbers, those types of things. Now, when you are accessing the system as a registered user, we have to go through and do what's called a VOR process, which is a view on request. So, and Michelle's going to walk us through it, so I just want to tell you the changes, and then we'll walk through the system for you. It may take a little longer for you to access the information because as you want to see it, a request comes to our office and it requires us to manually review that item to make sure those 22 items have been redacted as well as any other confidential information. The Supreme Court requires this additional review to make sure that before we put it online, it has that privacy aspect. Now, the VOR request processing time we expect to be about 2 days, 2 business days, and it's only required on the initial release of the document, which means if today I ask for a document to be VOR'd, and we VOR it, and 2 days from now, or I will tell you right now we're running about a day, then we're complete and the document's available, and then you want to see it, after that, it's already done. So it's not a per user, it's a per the document. All right, so you can see that, yes, ma'am.
Is there an expiration date on it? Like, would you be able to go back and say you need that same exact document maybe a month from now?
There's no expiration date on it once it's been VOR'd. All right. Most of the criminal records, when you talk about those, won't require the VOR process because most of it does not require, doesn't contain confidential information. We were able to go through and identify by documents some of the standard documents that would be in a case that wouldn't have any information. For example, a notice of hearing. All right, that's not going to have any of that information. But we went through an extensive process to identify those types of documents in criminal that wouldn't require VOR. And then, just for clarification, in 2012, the law changed and it required the redaction. You know, before 2012, we did not have to redact information. So you might be wondering, well, since 2012 you've been redacting it, why do you have to go through this VOR process? And the answer is because the Supreme Court order says you have to have that second set of eyes looking at that information before you put it out there on the internet. And a combination of, again, you might be thinking, well, I know when I file a document, it goes through a redaction engine as it comes through the clerk's office. That's part of our processing, and it does. But a couple of things. Number one, redaction software doesn't catch everything. And number two, the Supreme Court order says that's not enough before you put it out over the internet. Because remember what I said, once I put it out there, it's out there for you and you and you. It's not a per user request. So all attorneys and in agencies, even if you had access through our old system, you have to re-register. That's another requirement. You have to fill out a user agreement with us. It has to be notarized. Again, we can do that this evening for anyone that needs that. You can, after today, you can do it online. You go to our website, you pull down the information, you can print the agreement, you can have it notarized, scan it in, and email it to us.
What's the next thing we hear from you after we do that?
Okay, then you should get
Which
it.
I can tell you is nothing so far.
Okay, well then we will address that because you should get an email.
You should get an email, and if you do not get an email, call us. Call the 534-4000 main number, and they will direct it to us if they determine that there's a problem with your registration, and we will be more than happy to assist. So there are some of the links that may not have gone out in an email, and we'll be more than happy to resend it. So
Absolutely.
You have to call the 534-4000, and then what prompts are, who do we ask specifically, who do we,
You tell them what you need. Tell them that you have sent in your agreement.
but who do we ask for to get to you?
What department?
When you call 4000, you're going to get a live person in our call center, and that person is equipped to handle most of what you talk to them about. If they
Call and get a menu or?
Well, there is an automated menu, but you do get to a live person. Zero?
from your phone keypad, and it should go to an operator.
And those operators, if you tell them, look, I'm calling about the new Pro system, I've already sent in my agreement, and I have not received anything back. I sent it in 2 days ago, 2 weeks ago. They should be able to help you. If they can't, they know exactly who to get to be able to take care of it.
It should be immediate. As
Soon as we get it,
yes, ma'am. As soon as you click register and you've filled out and you've populated in your email address, you should immediately get an email back that gives you the contract, the agreement. You need to fill that out, return it to us via email or drop it off in person. And then within a day or two, you should get your email link back.
with your information to have a password and,
Yes, ma'am.
or I mean, a username and set their password.
Yes.
So
Your
you're saying
username
that's
will-
not happened?
Yeah, we send in the agency contract stuff. You must
Agent-
have caught in spam or something.
Agency contracts do take a little longer because they have to get approved. That's it.
6 weeks.
Then we definitely need to talk. Which agency?
Miller Crosby North.
Well, then that should be really fast. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so we'll
It could be
make sure.
scam issues.
No, we need to make sure, because that is the next part of my statement here. All users that want that higher level, especially the attorneys, to have attorney of record access, because it's by your bar number and all, you need to make sure for that credentialing, to register you as credentialing, that we have that notarized contract and that everything's all in place so you have your username and passwords, because again, Friday is our cutoff over to the new system. Now, you can get on it tomorrow. We can get you set up. You don't have to wait until Friday. Yes, ma'am?
So what if you've already gotten your username and password, and you signed up as an attorney, but you don't have the heightened attorney's access?
You should if you're going to a case that you're an attorney of record on.
Well, the problem that I'm coming across is that I'll go to a case where I am the attorney of record, where I have duly entered a notice of appearance that's been there for well predating the new system, but my name is not there as an attorney of record. But you look down in the docket and you can see your notice of appearance that you filed last year is there.
Is the case, it's an active case?
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
I actually have active cases where I get the view on request prompts.
What type of case?
Is it a probate case?
Some are probate,
Okay.
some are family law.
All right, so probate, I was going to talk about probate next. All right, probate is a little, I would call unusual as far as that. Let's explain that. So let's hold that thought because there are registered users have some additional access to view some family and probate documents after they've gone through the VOR process, even if you're the attorney of record. And probate is the one area where I have heard a lot of information from attorneys. And the Supreme Court, it does require us on the probate records to go through the VOR process, even for the attorney of records.
And that's true for the family law cases as well?
Some. There's some family law cases. Can you guys speak? Oh, I have it in the matrix as well. While they're looking at that, let me suggest to you on probate and any family cases that fall into this area, and we may have it in a tip a little later on, but one of the things you might want to do is as you file a document, as soon as you get it filed, go on the docket and request it to be VOR'd. Just make that a habit.
As soon as it's been accepted?
Yes, as soon as it's been accepted, because if it's a probate, it has to go through VOR. So if you file 2 or 3 things on the case today, as soon as they're accepted and on the docket, I have someone or yourself ask for those to be VOR'd, because that way it gets it in the queue, we get them VOR'd as you are needing to work on the case.
It's document by document.
It is document by document. It is document by document. So, but the probate is the one area, and I will tell you, we've kind of scratched our heads, but Kim can explain it best. What she's attended all of the FCTC meetings, Florida Courts Technology Commission, who is the one that basically worked on implementing and moving forward to the Supreme Court, and listening to those meetings for probate, where you can kind of get a feel for what we think they were thinking on probate. So Kim, do you want to? You need to come to where they can hear you on the webinar.
You have various party types on a probate proceeding. So you could have creditors that are interested parties on there. You could have the attorney for the family that's filed the estate case. So there's just a variation of attorneys listed on there for parties that may not have full access to the things the attorney for the family has access to. And so they couldn't figure out how to balance that with technology because you're all listed, you all have a bar number, so how do we say you with a bar number can see it and you can't because of who you're representing on the case? You may not be able to see the same things. So that's the information that I've heard, and they're really trying to do the best to give as much access as they can to as many users as they can and balance that. And so, we could see changes. We have seen changes. They are tweaking it at times. We're having to keep up with the changes. So certainly, you could see things happening in the future.
Do items signed by the judge, like orders and letters of administration, have to be VOR'd as well?
Hold on. I need to remember to repeat
Yes.
the question. So the question is, do items like
Signed by the judge.
signed by the judge,
Orders, letters of administration.
are you specifically talking probate, do they have to be VOR'd? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You think, I mean, I know it's not on there now, but you think you're going to eventually have something like when I handle a probate case, where I can make a VOR for everything, this is my case, or?
So the question is, will in the future, is it planned that you can ask for, are you saying for the whole case as opposed to go document by document?
Sometimes when you look at individual docket, an individual case, you may be like, oh, we do something else, and you have to wait 2, 3 days to look at that. And then it's just easier if you could do a VOR for everything, because you know that eventually, I mean, especially if it's not going to get rejected anyway. Is there a way to do that? Because I don't think that conflicts with the Supreme Court.
No, so I'm just repeating for those on the webinar. Is there a way to request everything on a case at one time instead of document by document? And the answer is, right now, the answer is no. Let me put it in perspective for you for just a moment, because as I mentioned to you, we have right now, if you ask for a document that needs to be VOR'd, you'll see on there it said it could take up to 2 business days. And we say just check back. I will tell you we are running 1 business day, all right? And so I hope to be able to keep that 1 business day. But if we had people requesting whole cases, going in, click whole case, and it's got a docket with pages and pages and pages, and all that starts coming through. Let me just give you some numbers, okay? Just to put it in perspective. I'm not trying to say it won't ever be there, but I can tell you I have a feeling that with the resources that I have, we would find that our 2 days, which is 1 day, will become 5 days for everything. And I'm just putting it out there. In Polk County in 2015, we had 132,000 cases filed across all court types. We had 2.24 million documents filed. And that averages more than 187,000 documents per month. And that's documents, not pages. And we have to VOR, the document with all the pages. So we're looking at about 8,000 documents that we process in the office. So I hesitate right now to tell you, yes, we have something planned that you'll click on the whole thing, say the whole case. Right now, that is not in the plan. Yes, ma'am.
Can you still see the court docket?
Yes, absolutely. The question was, can you still see the court docket? Absolutely.
So you can see that an order was signed?
Yes.
And
So,
then you can request.
so the comment is, so you can see the order. Absolutely. The docket is available to you. And that's one of the questions that I have had from attorneys. We'll just go ahead and talk about this one. Okay, I'm not the attorney of record, but I have a client. No, I have someone approaching me about becoming a client on an existing case, but I'm not the attorney of record yet. I'd like to see the case before I agree. Okay? Right? Practical situation. Here's my suggestion, and what I tell the ones that have spoken to me in person about it. And I said, okay, so I'm making an assumption, all right, which may not necessarily be, but someone is inquiring of you to come in and talk to you. So you're probably going to set an appointment. I would suggest that you allow 2 business days, or at least a day, and as soon as you are talking with that person setting that appointment, you are asking for a VOR request for those documents on that case, because again, you can see the docket. So you have somebody that wants to switch attorneys or whatever the reason there, and you're not the attorney of record, go ahead and start requesting it so you will have it available to you when you meet with that prospective client.
Do you get an email or something telling you that it's been VOR'd, or you just have to go back and look for it?
The question is, do you get an email telling you when it's been VOR'd? And the answer is, you just have to go back and look. We tell you on there, check back. I had somebody say, well, I've just been waiting 3 days. I said, don't wait 3 days. We are not taking 3 days. It really is running 1 business day. John?
Will the index identify which ones have already been VOR'd?
Yes.
Thank you.
The question was, will the index, the docket, indicate which ones have already been VOR'd? And the answer is yes, and we're going to show it to you. Yes, ma'am.
Am I understanding you to say that if you're not the attorney of record, then your view is the same as the public?
Your view is the same as a registered user. There's different users in the system. There's an anonymous user. That is a general public person that has not registered with our office, and their access is limited. The next level of access is a registered user. That is anyone that wants to register with the clerk's office through a notarized agreement, and they can have a little more access. Then there's the attorney of record. There's agencies. If you're not the attorney of record, you are the same as a registered user.
What about staff?
Okay, hold on just 1 second. She's still looking.
What can they see that the public can't see?
On the,
Truly depends on
Family
the
and probate
workstation.
images.
yeah,
Probate
yeah,
images.
the question was, what can can a registered user see that a general public anonymous can't see? And the answer is probate and family records, court records.
If you want to view a probate case to see if you want to take a probate case, is there a way that somebody who's not an attorney of record can view those documents?
So the question is, if you are not the attorney of record and you want to look at a probate case, if you're a registered user, you still have to go through the VOR process, and then you can see those
Okay,
documents.
so registered users can still see probate.
Once it goes through the VOR process.
Okay.
I'm sorry, yes, ma'am.
What about staff? Where do we fall in?
Okay, staff falls in if you register as a registered user. That is another difference between the system that we had and this system, that the attorney of record is not, the staff in the attorney's office does not have the same access as the attorney of record.
Well, I may be just stupid on this, but what is the gatekeeper? What does
Okay.
that allow us to do?
It allows a gatekeeper in the office can register other registered users in the office, but not the attorney of record. The attorney of record has to have their own registration.
So for clarification, the attorney of record, if you're registered as the attorney of record on the case, when you open that case, you're able to see everything.
The question is, if you're the attorney of record on the case, when you go to a docket on the docket, can you see it without having to be VOR'd? And the answer is yes, except for probate cases and adoptions, a couple of family type cases.
Terminations,
Terminations of parental rights, adoptions.
there's very few family.
So
Mainly
if
probate.
you're not able to see it and you are the attorney of record and you do have a notice of appearance on file, does that mean that you didn't apply properly or that you filled out the application incorrectly?
The question is, if you are the attorney of record and you've filed on it and you can't see it, is there a problem? All right, and the answer is, assuming it's not one of those cases types that have to go through VOR, regardless of whether you're the attorney of record or not, then there must be some issue. The answer is yes. But remember, attorney of record on probate and a small amount of family cases still has to go through the VOR, even if you're the attorney of record. On those few case types. Yes, sir.
And I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Okay. I'll repeat the question.
For staff member, or somebody who needs, or an agency needs access to something quicker, is there a way to make a phone call and say, I've got someone who's just come to me, they're panicking, they're not my client, but I'd like to, they don't know if I've got a day or two. Is there some number I can call where I can get quicker access? If I'm a registered user, and I don't know, because
So-
I'm not thinking that everybody else in this room is an attorney in every case.
So the question is, if you are not the attorney of record on a case, or if you are, and it happens to be one of these ones that still require VOR, right? Is there an emergency type of process so you can get it faster? That's the question, right?
Yeah.
Let me try to draw an analogy. All of you e-file, right? And in e-filing, there is a way to request an emergency, right? And so if you request an emergency, it goes into a queue where there's an emergency queue that it goes above the others, and it gets reviewed to see if it really is an emergency. If it's really an emergency, then we handle it. All right? I would assume we would be able to accommodate the same type process, but it needs to be an emergency.
Well, what do you consider an emergency? I mean, I have people on the phone, I don't want to schedule them an appointment to come in to pay $300.
I agree. And that's why I said in the beginning, I think you need to allow a little time in between scheduling that appointment to be able to make sure we can get you what you need. Now, there is always the option to come down to our office and come to our, okay, Kim, come on up. Kim, Kim, wait. The staff can't, I mean, the online.
I think the progress docket would tell you a lot about the case. So if somebody's coming in and it's a child custody dispute or a family side of things, you can, they may not be completely honest with you at first, but you can look at that progress docket and pretty much see that it was cut and dry. They agreed. They did an agreement, and everybody, it went through the process pretty quick. Or you can see that they fight about everything. I mean, a progress docket, even when we pull it up, you can glance through it and kind of see what's been happening over the course of that case. Most criminal cases, it doesn't require the VOR. So if it's an emergency where somebody's like, I have a warrant, or something happened and they need to get to you quick to get some advice, most criminal documents are already out there, don't require VOR. So it's the civil, probate, family, circuit civil and county civil that require majority of the VOR. And I don't know if those are the types of cases where in probate you have the emergency. I'm not sure if it's more criminal related or more civil.
Okay.
I don't know the answer. It's family.
So let's start here because there's hands going this way. Let's start. That's all right.
When you mention criminal, when you say documents, are affidavits available for mailing?
Okay, so the question, can we do that? Can we go to the demo? And then maybe we'll answer a number of questions, and then I have a couple of other system improvements on a positive note that I can share with you. And so let's turn it over to Michelle, and we're going to go to the demo, and those online can follow us.
Okay. We're going to walk you through just a couple quick, hopefully no more than 10 minutes for you to be able to see how to search a case, how to search a party, and while you get some cookies, but yeah, hopefully this will help, all right? And I'm going to try and talk loud for the people that are out there. You guys, you won't be able to see me. I'm short. But here we go. When you log into Pro, and I must preface this with, this is a test system. The documents, the cases, everything you see today is they're just test cases. So you're going to probably see some stuff that's not realistic, so just humor us and enjoy that. So here we go. We've got, when you log into Pro, or when you first go to our landing page, one of the things that I wanted to identify is we have this wonderful help menu. Use it. And afterwards, I can show you some of the stuff, but we have taken countless hours to really write out questions and answers, the common things that are coming in from people as we register them, or questions we get over the phone, and we really have an excellent resource there, so I encourage you to use it. Another wonderful thing right on this landing page is once you get your account, you can also manage your own passwords now by clicking on My Account. So when you do that, it's going to bring up a page to allow you to reset your password, and you can type in your email address and your login information. Key thing to know for most of you, I believe everyone probably in this room, your username and password, your login name will be your email address. So it would look whatever like an email would look like, okay? You type in your email address, click continue, and you will get an email link. I do want to say again, every email you get during a registration prompt or a password prompt is pretty quick. So if you don't get something and it's been 15 minutes, please go ahead and call and say, I tried to reset my password and it did not work. I didn't get an email. Now I will tell you, this past week we had somebody that reset their password 10 times quickly. And what happened was every link that they got until they got to that 10th one was invalid because the next one, made the prior one not valid anymore. So it does just take one time, and do that and you'll get the email. Now, registering, for those of you that haven't registered, those that are online for the demo, and it went blank, so give it just a second. For the person asking online, the URL that we're using is a test. The URL that you will use for Pro is polkcountyclerk.net/pro. And I'm sure they will chat that to you so you have it in writing. But if you want to register online, you can certainly just come in here, click the drop box, registered user or attorney. If you're an attorney, you're going to type in your bar number. If you want to register for more people in your agency or in your law firm, you're going to click, I want to register for myself and other non-attorneys in my office. When you fill out the information completely, click submit. Again, you should get an email pretty quick. It's going to have the agreement attached to it. Have that notarized and return it to our office by snail mail or email, electronically submitted, or you can walk it in, and we will be more than happy to assist you. I have to see if I can get back to where I was. While I'm waiting for it to catch up with me, Brian.
While she is waiting, you saw that you could register with us, agency, attorney, registered user. You saw a party to a case. A party to a case, your client, your case can sign up and have access to the case. However, to sign up, they must come in our office because that is the one user type where we have to verify who the person is. So they have to provide us with picture ID, that type of information, and then we can get them set up in the system. So that is where in our office. They can come into official records, which as you come in the main area, where it's at, its moved location, and you can sign up for the party to a case. So I just wanted to point that out to you for your clients. You ready, Michelle?
Not quite.
Okay.
Keep going.
Not a problem. While she is getting the system working, the general public, we've talked about this, but just to reiterate, they will not be required to register for credentialing so that they can look at access to it. They will have access to criminal and civil cases, non-confidential information only. They will not have access to family cases, even through the VOR process or probate cases. All right. Again, most criminal cases will be readily available, and most all of the documents in civil for an anonymous user will require the VOR. Yes, ma'am.
What can a non-registered attorney access that his or her staff cannot access as a registered user?
A registered user that is an attorney that's a registered user can see the same thing as a staff that's a registered user. Are you ready, Michelle?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's keep going.
Okay, so we're going to imagine you've gotten registered. We're clicking login now. And it looks like test is just a smidge slow right now, so we will work through the process. I'm going to log in as an attorney and or registered user. One of the wonderful things about this system is you will get to pick out your own password For those of you that worked on one of our prior 4 systems for traffic cases or juvenile or criminal or civil, you were assigned a password. So it was different on every system. So what we're going to do is when you log into PICS as a registered user, you're going to have these various search options. That's another thing that is different than a public anonymous user. As a public anonymous user, you're only allowed, I think it's 5 different search criteria. So as a registered user, you get more options to search. We are going to first search a specific case. So I'm clicking case search, and you will see on the screen there's some instructions over here to the right that are going to share with you. You need to select 1 or more court types. I kind of take the lazy way and I just click the button to check all. So you can certainly do the same thing. And I'm going to search a specific felony test case. You can certainly break up your case number here if you'd like to. You can see the function to do that. So you can do that if you'd like. I like to type my uniform case number all together on a single line. So I'm going to show you the difference doing that here. You do need to type all 6 sequence numbers on the case number, but you do not have to type anything after the 4-digit year. For felony, it's a CF case number, and then 000013 is my test case I'm going to. You can add additional filters if you'd like to. Maybe you're searching for something more specific. You can absolutely do that, filter your case down. But I'm going to click Find Case. When I do that, it's going to take me to a hit list. You'll notice at the top you can view what you searched, so it's going to give you an opportunity to confirm maybe your results were not what you were expecting, so you can check back up top and go, hey, this is what I searched, and say whether it's right or wrong. You're going to click on Details of the case. And you can see the case information comes up. So we are now on the case detail screen. You can confirm your case number, the judge, the styling of the case, if it's open or closed. And then we're going to talk briefly about these tabs. But the primary one that a lot of people are concerned about is the dockets tab. And you will see we have this wonderful variety of colors. This is what tells you if you can view an image or not. So you'll see a key, a legend at the top that says green if it's available, yellow if it's require or view upon request, blue if it's already been requested for VOR and is now available, or red, it's not available. Again, this is a test case, so images that may be VOR or not available are certainly just for the test environment. So to view an image, you simply click on the green dot or the blue triangle. An image window is going to pop up, and you can then view your image and see what's available on your case. Again, this is a test environment, so it's going to be a little bit slower. From this point, you can click to print that image or save it as a PDF, just as you could in the last system. You can see here we've got a blue triangle, which means it was already VOR'd. So you can immediately click on those and view your image. Okay. Now, if I have one here that's yellow, what Clerk Butterfield kept saying, click on it. Go ahead and click on that yellow triangle. Make it available for you to be able to view it. You click on it, you're going to get a message once it pops up and says, hey, this image requires VOR, your request has been submitted. It could take up to 2 business days to view this document. We're going to get it in our office, and it's going to sit in a queue. When it's next up in line, we're going to redact it and make it back available to the public.
We have individuals dedicated to this process. That is the only thing they do, is do VOR.
Yes,
all
ma'am.
right? So they sit at their computer all day long. These come in, and that's their job. So, just want to make sure that you don't feel like that they are distracted by dealing with filings or answering the phone or answering questions. They are dedicated to the VOR process. All right?
So if you click on the blue, that automatically sends a request?
The yellow.
The yellow.
Yeah, the yellow. Green and blue are already there.
Okay.
All right? The only
Do
difference.
VOR workers get time off for good behavior?
I have to bake cookies.
Can you click on the blue again?
Sure. Yes.
Michelle, if somebody just, it was yellow just a few minutes ago, and now it turned blue,
Yes.
it may still give them the message that it's being reviewed.
Right. So what was said is, if I were to refresh the screen, and I'm not going to come out of here right at this moment because I don't want to mess up where we are, but if I were to refresh this screen right now, this yellow triangle would show up as blue. And the reason being is it lets you know that you've already requested that immediately as a user. Some people that are going down and requesting all docket entries on one case, it's great for them to be able to see, okay, I just requested that, I can move on to the next one. And you just simply refresh in your browser and it will make it available for you to know that it was VOR'd. So the blue triangle does not immediately confirm to you that it has already completed VOR, but it has been requested, which is a huge benefit from people that we have heard from.
Is there a reason why you can't put a button in there that opens them all up at the same time? Wouldn't it make the VOR's job a lot easier?
Well, so she was asking if we could make a button that requests all the documents at one time. And I think as Clerk Butterfield shared, it's a huge demand on resources for our office to have that many requests coming in. And, you know, there is not that function right now. Right now we don't have. I'm sorry?
I was just saying, the bottom line is, as I told you, we have dedicated to doing this. And so it's a resource issue. And as we work through this, if we find that we need more resources just to keep the 2-day time frame, which we're now doing a day, we will do what we can to allocate resources. However, this is just one thing that we have to do, all right, in the office. And on a statewide basis, this is true for all clerks. As of last week, we took another 3.61% cut in our budget again this year right now. So we're all dealing with that. In our case, it's another $400,000. So I'm having to reallocate my resources to those areas. There's things that I can't move resources from. For example, the trial clerk in the courtroom with the judge. I can't say today, we're not going to put any of those up there. Judge, you know, I have a priority list of things we have to do, and so we work together. So we will do everything we can. We hear you. I'm just trying to explain right now where we're at. All right, Kim, you need to.
And because this is open to the public now as registered users, they may not have the same need as you. So they may be just looking at information just to do research, you know, just to look at cases. So they may not have that same need. And if we have that option available, you know, we could have 20,000 users at some point, and we really can. Are they all clicking, you know, I want all documents when they may not need that. So we really have to balance it and see what the use is going to be too.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Kim gives me the statistics every Monday morning of the use, and the anonymous users
Are the largest
are the
users.
largest users of the system at this point.
Yes.
So you're keeping track of who's asking for what documents to be opened? So
But
what if we have a confidential client that comes in to monitor a case for them?
If you're a registered user, we
Repeat the
know.
question.
Oh, if they have a confidential client that comes in and wants them to monitor the filings on a case, when you access that, if you're a registered user, we know you accessed that image. If you are public anonymous, we don't know who you are. But public anonymous, you cannot get to probate and family images.
And that's part of exactly what the Supreme Court said. You can be an anonymous user, but we limit what you see. Once you register, that is the whole thing, then we know who you are and what you're requesting. And that is right exactly out of their order. That was their intent. Okay, Michelle?
Thank you. Okay, so
On criminal. Correct.
yes, so the question was in criminal, there would probably only be a couple cases that would need, or a couple documents that would need to be redacted, and that is true. I will tell you on the criminal side, if you're keeping score, there are specific cases such as sex crimes, child abuse, that we do require the VOR on those cases. So potentially there will be more VOR, but law enforcement does fall in a different category to view those cases in accordance with the Supreme Court order. A couple other quick tabs up here. One more thing to mention. Please note that the docket descriptions are viewed in sequence order, meaning how they were filed on the case. So they may not necessarily be in date order. This, of course, is a test case, so everything's looks all nice and pretty, but real life is something gets filed at the counter, something gets e-filed, something gets, mailed in. They could all be at different times, so definitely pay attention to your filing dates if you are looking for something in particular. We also have a parties tab, which is going to list the parties associated with the case. If there is an attorney of record on here, that should also show. The hearings tab will list court dates in descending order, so the most recent down to the first. If there are bonds on the case and their current status. If there's a citation on the case. And any financial information, whether there's court fines and or filing fees if it's a civil case, and any payments that were made. And then in criminal, there's definitely more disposition information than you would see on a civil case, but disposition is where you would go to see what has happened to the case if it's closed. You can certainly see this case has 3 counts associated with it. You can click on additional charge data and see the arresting information, when the arrest occurred, who the agency was, and then if they were adjudicated, you can see the sentence information, what their sentence was, if they received jail time, etc.
That's still viewable on public access, right?
That is correct. That is still available on public access.
Are those cases still misdemeanor cases still destroyed after 5 years?
I can answer that one.
Okay.
The law changed. Misdemeanor cases are 75-year retention. Went from 5 years to 75 years.
And new budgeting support for this.
Oh.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to show you, I've got 2 more things I think I want to, or 3 things, and then we'll wrap this up. This button right here, print case summary, a lot of people seem to like this. So when you click it, it's going to show you everything that I just went through on all these tabs in one PDF document. No images, but it will list the docket codes, if there is, the hearing dates, bond information, financial information, disposition information in one PDF. You can again print that and export it to your system. One of the things that someone asked was, how do I print images, or how do I print this type, get multiple pages out? And the images and this document open into a PDF just like you would any other PDF on your system. Of course, I don't have a printer. I guess I do have a printer attached. You're going to go in, click print, select all pages or the number of pages you want, and then click OK to print your document. And the last 2 things, Internet Explorer just stopped.
We get a lot of that.
Well,
Okay. Well, Michelle gets back to it. You were almost complete. So while Michelle gets back to it, I'll cover a few other things and then we'll see about answering some additional questions. On that positive note, the things that, some system improvements. Users can search all courts through a single search. As you saw, Michelle, you don't have to go into the criminal system, the civil system. You can search all courts in a single search, and all cases display information identically. So that is an enhancement. And then there, you know, for those attorneys, if you practice in all the areas, you had to look in a juvenile system, you had to look in a civil system, you had to look in a criminal system with different passwords and all those types of things. So that's a plus, I hope, for you. We were a little slow on the test system, but I think you will find that the user experience on the new system is friendlier and easier to navigate than, especially since everything looks the same. It does have that gatekeeper role that we talked about. They can act as the administrators in the office and can register other non-attorney users. The only however is the attorney does have to register separately. All right. Michelle showed you where as you register as the attorney, if you want to register to others, you can do it at that point. Set up the gatekeeper. All right. Non-attorneys in the office, we talked about this, have the same access as a registered user, and it's the same access as an attorney who's not the attorney of record. Automatic password resets, easy to use. So if you are doing it on the weekend, when you're working on the weekend and the password's a problem, you can reset your password. You don't have to wait on us. So you can do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I will say if there is a hiccup, though, you can't reach us on the weekend for the most part, but it should be seamless with resets of passwords. Michelle said that all the documents are displayed in a PDF form, which eliminates the Java issue. I had many phone calls. Yay! The Java issue is finally done, and you have encountered that. So, and you can use it on most devices, your tablets and those types of things. We talked about the general public. We talked about your client, who can be, and who is the party to the case. They can come in. So that is available. And I think we had covered most of this, but a couple of tips and tricks we suggested, we've kind of talked about it, is especially probate for attorneys of record. As you file, go ahead and ask for that VOR so they're there for you. As a attorney that is not on the case looking at a prospective client that has a case, allow yourself, if you can, some time to set that appointment so somebody can go in and start asking for the documents. Again, you can see the docket. So that, it tells you some information, a lot of information. Sometimes, you know, we can answer a question just from a docket. So that's certainly a tip. And what other tips do I need?
And on the criminal side, they can see the charges without having to open them.
Oh, that's right, the tab at the top, so you don't even actually have to go to the document. So those tabs, the feedback we've received, those have been very helpful on the criminal side. So with that, questions?
Could you do a party search?
Yes, I can do that real quick.
Right, so we want to see a party search. Oh, yes.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to quick do a party search, and then I'm going to show you a hearing search after that. Party, click on party search. Again, you do have to select. You can do check all courts if you'd like, or if you know you're specifically looking at one or two, you can certainly do that. Using our test guy here, we've got that. And then I'm just going, you can type in a date of birth if you like, but keep in mind civil cases will not have a date of birth on them. And then find case. And you can adjust. So here I've got 14 records returning. I'm going to go ahead and display 25. And we've got, I think, every court represented here. So some of you that have been talking about probate, you can see this is probably what you're seeing. I'm anticipating we'll see a whole bunch of VOR. So go right into it, click on all of those, and they will get sent to our office to be VOR'd. If you want, and you can see the difference in it, this one isn't disposed, so never mind. If you want to go back to the search results on what we just did, simply click back to search results, and you can view all the various cases. This is, I think, my absolute favorite function in the application, so pay attention. There is a little white box in the search results. It's called Filter Records. If you want to just maybe see a particular case that's with a specific judge, or you want a name, you have to spell it right. For instance, I started typing Judge Kirkland's name, and now I've only returned in my results. It's filtered out anything that doesn't belong to Judge Kirkland on my results. And as soon as you wipe that back out, all your original search results are there. So it's just an amazing feature. You can. It's going to filter by anything that is on that screen. So for instance, sometimes you just type, and I won't be able to do it here, but maybe you just want to see the MM cases. So if I type MM, it's going to pull back anything that has MM in it. So it's really a great function. Any other questions on party name, party search before? I'm just going to show you a hearing scheduled hearing search real quick, and then I am finished. I know everybody would like to go. So I'm going to go back, do a new search, and go back to my main menu because it has taken me back to do a party search. I want to click on hearing search. And again, just for giggles, I'm doing check all. If you have a specific court you want to look at, please do that. Type in your court date or select it from the menu and then click Find Case. And so these are all the cases that I've got currently scheduled or were scheduled for March 3rd, 2016 in the test system. Again, I could look at a specific judge if I wanted to and see Judge Pinkett's cases. Or if you had a client you wanted to look at, you can see their cases that way with the filter feature.
So you can't lie to me, the calendar's full.
Okay, any other questions? What did he say? There you go.
Okay, all right, so thank you, Michelle. Other questions? I saw some hands. Yes, ma'am.
We have multiple attorneys in our office, so we have one attorney that is the quote attorney of record, and then we have the other ones that do the work.
Let me repeat the question so far. We have multiple attorneys in an office. We have one that's the attorney of record do the work. Okay.
The other ones that do the work can't get into the docket.
They're a registered user. They can see the docket, but they are a registered user as far as viewing. So
You have to go in and use the attorney of records user name and password.
I will let you will have to.
They could file a notice of appearance as co-counsel or supporting counsel.
I told you we had a few tricks.
Would then that, when you do an e-filing then in that case, would that other attorney receive everything that's filed in that case?
If you e-file a document on that case, then would the other attorneys listed receive the service on those documents? The e-portal is a separate system entirely, and in that system, you can select to e-service anyone on that service list that's been served before, but you can also just select the ones that you want served. So that's just something, it doesn't connect to the pro system at all. So that's a separate system. So when you e-file a document, you're going to choose who to serve on there.
So if you do a notice of appearance with the supporting, I guess, attorney, is that what you call it?
Some do co-counsel or
Notice of co-counsel is what you
Co-counsel,
file
yeah.
a notice of co-counsel,
I mean,
and
we
that
see
could
it.
put that as an attorney of record on that case.
Because civil cases, we often see quite a few, on a lawsuit, we'll see a couple of attorneys representing the client together, not just one. So.
Other questions? These are all great questions, and I mean, I'm glad you're here so you can walk through it. You can contact us at any time with additional questions. We'll be happy to help you. But we'll stay as long as we need to. Yes, ma'am.
There was a question about whether it was an emergency if you need to view a document.
A question about an emergency viewing.
Say you have a client that comes in and there's an order entered and they're on day 9 and they don't understand, they don't have a copy. We need to see that order because we're going to file a motion for rehearing. So in that case, I guess what pull this up and can somebody email me, we need this document because we don't know if we want to take the case until we see what the order is.
We need to repeat the question.
Okay. If
the question is,
if they have a client there that they're on day 9 of 10 days for a motion for rehearing, they don't have a copy of their order in hand, and they want you to take action and maybe file something, can you get your hands on that order by calling our office? Can we email it or something like that? The answer is yes. We recognize that things are going to come up when you need something, it's critical, it's urgent, but we also know that that's not the everyday norm on all of your cases. So we just ask you to be mindful of that and provide the services. Our official records, it is recorded out there. So that's another option that if they don't have it in hand and you don't want to wait on VOR and it's not a family or probate, you can get to that.
Right, and that's 24 hours a day, redacted of course, but it is there, and there's no VOR process or anything, so, yes ma'am.
Is injunction considered family?
Yes.
And the unique thing about that is you have that return hearing. Sometimes it's only 7 or 8 days away, and it isn't always so much do I want to take the case, but the person's coming to you for legal advice about the injunction. Sometimes the judge will tell them or that, you need to go talk to somebody. And it's amazing, the ones like, oh, I don't know what I did with my paperwork. And I'm not going to give someone legal advice based on what they think happened or what they think they put there. And there is a fast turnaround to get back into court. So I don't even know whether to tell them, hire me, hire someone else, don't hire anyone. Because sometimes they'll get a temporary, but really it's very shaky legal grounds and they're probably not going to prevail. And you're honest attorney, you might want to say, you know what, I can come, you can pay me, but if you haven't got more, but if I can't see it and they don't have it, I can't tell them that.
Are they typically making, so on injunction cases, there is a quick turnaround time, 15 days or less for that rehearing. And if someone's coming into your office, how can you see that information with that quick turnaround? Do they still schedule an appointment with you, typically call?
Well, in a perfect world, they would leave the courthouse from getting it and go call someone. But, it's like, oh my gosh, my
tomorrow.
hearing, like day
Right.
tomorrow.
Right.
And, and everything to them is an emergency, and I recognize that it's not. But when there is if there was actual violence, you want to be very careful to give the person good advice.
And
if you can't see what they alleged, it really ties your hands.
And I guess to summarize it is how to give good legal advice to them without seeing it, and you don't want to do that. You want to be able to look at the allegations and go from there, be able to tell them what to do. With resources, we really are trying to gauge what's going to happen, how many documents are coming in, what we have to do. And if time will allow us and we have those resources, we're going to look for things that are of critical nature that need to be out there sooner. Injunctions is a great example of that. And not to say we can do it today, but those are things that we're going to evaluate as we're going along in this. And if we can and we have the resources, it may be best for us to take that action and do it ahead of time so that you can get to it. We couldn't do it across all cases filed every day in all documents, but we may be able to identify those that are of critical nature that we just need to take action on. So, and probate's one that we've talked about also, trying to do some things there. So Bear with us.
Yes, because we want to get to you what you need to do your business, to do your work. I mean, that's our goal. We don't want to do anything to impede you from being able to deal with your clients. We just have to do it within the rules, and we have to do it within the resources as far as how fast. And as Kim said, we certainly are evaluating it. The system has been available for several months. So, however, the old system has also been available. So we are wondering what next week will look like. Let's put it that way. And so bear with us. I'm expecting a little bit of a influx that will then hopefully level off. Before we go to that, I need to answer one question from someone online. The question is, if I understand it correctly, attorney of record is no different than a registered user in a probate case. And the answer to that is yes, that is correct. Both must file a VOR for every document, yes, and each has access to the same documents, yes. So that is true. Again, once it has been through the VOR process, it's there. So yes, ma'am, I saw a hand.
Well, my question was, you said you had the old system. The documents in the old system that have already been viewed, are those automatically already VOR'd? I mean,
No. The question is, since we had the old system, the documents that have already been viewed, are they already VOR'd? And the answer is no, because the old system was only available to attorneys and agencies. So it doesn't mean they've necessarily gone through a VOR process. Now, they have gone through a redaction process upon filing, but we have to have that second set of eyes. So there's not necessarily a direct connect. It's already been VOR'd.
Since 2012.
Yes, that's a good point. Since 2012, a case that's prior to 2012 didn't even go through redaction when it was filed. So 2012 wasn't that long ago. Quite frankly, it's passed very quickly since 2012, but it's only 4 years ago. So.
Well, we are very spoiled here because in the jurisdictions around us, they've not had anything. And attorneys that come from Hillsborough, Orange County have said, wow, it's amazing how much you can see and do. But because we're spoiled,
right.
We want more.
So her comment was that we have been spoiled in Polk County because some of the surrounding jurisdictions did not have a system for their attorneys. So yes, you are used to a system. That's why I kind of started with what is different, and I just reiterated we had to make the system compliant with the Supreme Court order. And again, Kim will continue to go to every FCTC meeting for us. So that she can keep up with the changes that are being proposed and discussions, because as it happens, she comes back and then we start working on, if it's something we know that it's just a matter of implementing it, they haven't actually signed off on it, we go ahead and start working on the program changes. So we are trying to be as very proactive as possible. Different different user groups go to those meetings and say, these are the problems we're having, would you consider X? And that's the group that takes up those items and then moves forward the things that they decide upon to the Supreme Court for action.
And we refer to the FCTC, but it's the Florida Courts Technology Commission, and they are appointed by the Supreme Court. They have a website, and so if you just go out there and Google the Florida Courts Technology Commission, you can find their page, and it has upcoming. You can find out the location, and it's
you can go to the meeting.
You can go if there's something that you really feel strongly about that needs to be addressed. It's available.
And there are 2 or 3 clerks that sit on that commission.
3 clerks.
3 clerks, yes, that sit on that commission that are appointed by the Supreme Court, and we as clerks collectively select who those clerks are. It's a term, it's a 2-year term, so we do have a group that, we do have a voice, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
There are attorneys, there's a paralegal, there are judges, technology staff for the court, so there's a variety of users of the system that are on that commission.
Yes, ma'am.
So for a civil case, the attorney of record still has to click to request to view a document it would
Okay,
automatically be there.
so the question is, an attorney of record on a civil case, do they have to click on it for viewable on request? And the answer is a few case types. Probate and a few civil cases like adoptions,
Jimmy Rice.
termination of parental rights. There's a few. But your county civil, circuit civil, small claims, family cases, except for those I just talked about, you can see it without VOR, correct.
Okay, but the registered user has to.
The registered user does have to go through VOR. And an anonymous user cannot even ask for a VOR on probate and family cases. Okay, other questions?
And if you use the process server, they can be a registered user. Print off the summons and information.
Yes.
So this access is really opening the doors to many users of the system that you interact with. So,
any other tips?
I do not have any, sorry.
Okay, we covered most of them. All right, so for those of you joining us in the webinar, if you have any last minute questions, if you would send those through. Oh, here's the tips that we've talked about. Register. Complete the registration before Friday because the old system will cease after Friday. Again, as soon as you are talking to a potential client with an existing case, if you're not the attorney of record, obviously, as quickly as possible, request what you need to see. Give yourself some time if you can. And probate documents, even attorney of record. That's the one area that we're hearing the most comments for those that are practicing in the probate area. And it's just a matter of, like I said, I talked to one that said, as soon as I e-file, I get it, it's on, I click it. And I've just started that process. And they said, I've been doing it for a couple of months and it seems to work. The other thing is, remember, it's not taking us 2 days. I had one in one office and say, I just wait 3 days and go back and look. And I said, then we're getting it done in a day. Right now, next week, they may be upset with me, but we appreciate you taking time. We'll stay here for a few minutes for any last minute questions for those that want to stay back. And
I have one question. Law enforcement, what are we having access to and not having access to?
okay, so hold that thought, and we will talk with you offline. How's that? Thank you again.